Hey everybody, Sara Anderson with Cedar Haven Real Estate Group at Keller Williams Preferred Realty. And I am here today with Tom from Branch Property Investigations. Thank you for coming in and taking a few minutes to talk with me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Sarah. This is really on our heart right now.
Well, Tom is our go-to inspector for my team. So we just wanted to pick his brain a little bit on what's happening out in the world as far as this competitive market, buyers removing contingencies to strengthen their offer because pretty much across the board, they're in a multiple offer situation. So, Tom, when it comes to this whole concept of removing inspection or removing the inspection contingency, what would you say to a buyer that's considering just removing the inspection altogether?
Realize the value of the inspection is not on what you can get from the seller, but really in what you can learn about the house. And so we offer an inspection called an informational inspection, which is either during escrow after you've had your offer accepted and before you close. We inspect with the seller's permission, we arrange a time, and then sometimes the seller won't give permission, and then we do it at the closing or after the closing.
Okay.
So there's a lot of options for when it gets done, but that list is very important for you to have and to keep for the ongoing ownership of the property.
So what would you say for the buyers that do have that inspection? What are the things that they should be paying the closest attention to in that report?
Well, the things that are clearly obvious and important, critical in some cases to do, are the safety issues, which are smoke detectors, GFCIs, garage doors, stairs and railings, trip hazards, things like that. But the more subtle things are perhaps more costly and more difficult to fix. Things like chimneys and roofs and grading issues and moisture intrusion issues, either through siding or basement. So those are very important to know as well.
And not easy to see when you're running through for a quick showing.
It takes an expert eye and tons of experience to find some of these things.
I think for most of us, when we think about an inspection, we think of it in terms of the buyer. But I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about sellers and inspections. What are your thoughts on a seller who's thinking about listing their property, having it inspected before they even put it on the market? I
think it's a far underutilized asset for sellers because you set a great tone during that process of telling the buyer, we want you to know what we know, and even more than we know, because we're giving you a full report.
Is there a benefit to the seller in making sure that home has been inspected prior to closing?
Well, there's a lot of disputed opinions on this very topic, and I've heard it both sides. I believe the seller always wins by having the property inspected because they can show they took good faith effort to disclose every issue to a buyer, and so they can't come back later and say, if only we had known, you should have told us, and get into those disputes that unfortunately are part of the business.
Well, you've worked with several of our buyers in the past and will continue to work with them in the future, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be hearing from more of our sellers. Because I think that that's a really good point, and sellers shouldn't be so afraid of the inspection, whether they do it or they allow a buyer.
Well, our passion as a company is to help people be informed.
Our
slogan is, because our clients deserve to know. That's why we climb in attics and do all the unpleasant things that are part of inspecting. Because all of the clients and our realtors that are partners with us, they deserve to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your expertise. And like I said, Tom's our go-to guy. So if you are looking to have your home inspected, whether you're thinking about listing or you're just curious, maybe you're someone who bought your house in the last couple of years and you didn't ever have an inspection, Tom's your guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, everybody. Let's start over because I didn't even think.
Okay.
This is what I always do, because then I know to start after. See? It works.